You have been my, but also I would say our rock. The reason also I could dream big, take risks, and believe that I could achieve things that I think it's not a given.
Well, my father actually, he was not in investing in any kind of securities at all. And remember, you bought this apartment in Berlin. You bought this apartment in Frankfurt. So he invested in real estate. When I said, I sold all my real estate, but I said, okay, buying a stock which has dropped recently for bad numbers, 20-30%, I immediately buy. And then I don't look into it for the next 3 years.
How can we find the most valuable lessons about money, not in books, but at home around our dinner table? Today, I'm inviting you to my most private and intimate conversation around money with my dad.
Thank you, Cristina. Thank you so much for having me. It's a first-time event, so I'm a bit nervous, excited.
No,
so
it will be an intimate conversation amongst us like we practiced yesterday, so thanks.
Okay.
Dad, you have been my, but also I would say our rock. The reason also I could dream big, take risks, and believe that I could achieve things that I think it's not a given. Behind your calm strength is a man who already very early on made very bold financial decisions, who never stops learning. So thanks for also, I think I have that from you. Who's still investing, and even more than ever investing, not just in the markets, but in his family.
Thank you.
I think you're literally the best dad that we could have had. You are super progressive, you're open-minded, and I think not only me, but also other people can talk with you about everything. You always try to not judge, take their perspective in, and you always have an amazing advice. And I think one thing that I appreciate so much is that you let us make mistakes. Because I must imagine, I'm not a parent myself, but I must imagine this is very hard to watch your children fail. And if you know already it's gonna fail, like sit there and let them make their own mistakes. But we always know that we have you as a support. And this is worth everything, really, that we know we can, call you, you will always be there. We have like a safety net, emotionally, but also financially. You're a super happy person. You're friendly with everyone, being it a managing director like you were, or being it a janitor. And I think we appreciate that and also learned that from you. You just respect everyone.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Mom, and I think she has the same value, so it's really nice. Then you studied IT. And for the audience, I want you to imagine, you always say you had these like punch cards. This is how you studied IT back then, yeah? Programming the PC, the personal computer, like this. And then you started a career in corporate. And you moved on into the world and open to challenges and had a striving career. And I really found that amazing that especially then only in your 60s, you explored an expat life. You went to the Middle East for years, and not only did you do it, but you also loved it. Open to new cultures, open to learning from them, listening to them. And that is so fascinating for me. So that we had countless conversation about work, about my career, but never did we really sit down and only talk about finances and financial future. So I want to ask you a lot of questions today that I think daughters are not asking enough. So why don't you take us a bit into your childhood? How did you see your parents shape your beliefs around money, your habits maybe around money? Are there any situations that come up that you can think of how they discussed money or how they also discussed money with you?
Yeah, looking back, Well, my father actually, he was not in investing in any kind of securities at all. He was an entrepreneur, he had his own business. He actually was a trader. He bought wood and sold it. And what he did is investing his money 100% in real estate. So whenever he had some money left over, he just built apartments, apartment houses, 5, 6 apartments, which in the 60s, 70s, a lot of these entrepreneurs did.
So imagine we were then how many years after the war, right? Like probably a lot had also to be rebuilt, no?
Right. Recover and rebuild the whole country. And also this kind of undertaking was heavily supported by the government. It was subsidized, and it was accompanied by regulation, which was very much helping the tenants, the landlords, to control their investment. So the control was on their side. It was attractive. He always said, I've got an interest of around 5 or 6% from the rent. I have good depreciation options. This comes from the state. So the control was there over his investment, and it was very attractive for these kind of people. On the other side, it was something you could see, and touch.
That's why people love real estate investments, no?
Right.
So you saw your dad as an entrepreneur by day, building real estate, having a wood factory or a wood trading company? Yeah.
And he was very disciplined. I mean, I did not see him too much, actually. He was very busy, working like 10 or 12 hours a day. And when he came home, he just had his dinner for half hour, and then he went for a political career and was sitting on the local government, working for the region, develop the region. So he was also very active there. Yeah.
And why do you mention that when I ask you about, how you saw your parents? Like what do you want to aim at? Like when you describe, he was by day having a job, by night actually having a job.
Yeah, well, what I want to say here is that I did not get any kind of example from my dad to invest in securities at some stage. So this came much later. But what I learned is, and this is the spirit I learned very early, he did that. And that's the same driver for me, this invest, whatever you invest, but invest it to be safe during your retirement. This was the driver. So the big fear, and I guess the worries young people still have is, how can I make sure that I do not suffer when I turn 60, 70?
If they think of it, because most people don't, right? That's exactly the problem.
Yeah, but I think a big portion of the people, they think ahead and want to make sure that they are safe. The other thing is, what he said here and then is, look, you will really have fun to work and enjoy your work if you do not need to make money. I did not understand this for the first 30, 40 years. Now I understand it. Because if you have that safety network, you can start really doing what you like, what you have fun with, and then your job is your hobby. Yeah, and this is, I worked, until last year. I would like to still work, and I guess I'm still pretty active, and I look into investments more today than I did in the past, because now I've got time and I collect experience every year. But this is hobby, fun, and there's a decent outcome. That's the other thing. You see a result.
Yeah. And so you never saw themselves talking about money, or you mentioned also like some scenes with your siblings talking about pocket money, like how did they distribute that? Or
Right.
you even told me you went to the bank when you were a teenager to
Yeah.
give money to them.
Yeah. I mean, at this time, my dad was in his office in the next bigger city, there all the checks and transfers were paper based, and he brought them in the evening. And next day, my mom went to the bank, to the local branch of the bank, and gave it there and signed it for processing. And so very often I went with her, and I can't remember exactly how old I was, but probably like 14, 15. And my mom said, I don't have time and you can do that. So I went there on my own. And I mean, they were all very friendly and kind and helpful.
But you didn't have a power of attorney, nothing, obviously.
Absolutely not. But my dad obviously prepared the ground and called these guys that all of that is fine and accepted. So I learned to walk into a bank and stay there, sit there and talk to the people there like a bakery or any other shop.
That's crazy because, well, first of all, that you were involved and that you didn't have like any Berührungsangst, fear of going into a bank at so young also. And then that your mom was actually quite involved in, let's say, at least the finances of the company, in that sense that she had to administer it a bit, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. So coming back to your question regarding money talks at home, I can't remember any. Money, we haven't never been rich, but there was always enough money there. So my mom, I remember, took the cash from the bank and went for shopping and buying stuff. And I helped her, and my sister and my brother helped her carrying it home. So I remember that lucky us, we had always like enough money for being the first runner of certain new technology, like color TV, first TV.
Or a toilet inside the house.
We had, when I was born, my parents built a new house with, sensational inside toilet and inside bathroom. No shower at this time. This was not state of the art then, but a bath tube.
And so, you told me you had kind of like public viewing at home.
And that's right, yeah. And I mean, as typically people, if they want to watch TV, they went to a bar or a restaurant. They had the TVs. But later on, when we had one, they were sitting in our living room, the neighborhood or relatives living close by. And so I remember this was fine. But when my father came for his dinner and had only like half hour, he did not like that, having all these people sitting around. And interesting enough, I remember when they saw him coming by with his car, they left the room because they knew he doesn't like it. So when he was off, they came back.
And you don't want to see grandpa angry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It was a rare situation when he got angry, but then it was like a real
problem.
A real problem, yeah.
And you were the oldest, or are the oldest of two siblings, and then you said, for example, that also your sister, like, she thought about more pocket money, and then it was also very like advantageous for you because you would benefit because your parents were ensuring that money was maybe not discussed so much, but it was very fair and transparent.
Absolutely, yeah. Fair principle, whatever I got, my sister got, and vice versa, and this was perfect to me. I mean, I don't know why, but I always had ideas to make some money aside of school, helping others with their homeworks. I learned to play the guitar and the trumpet very early, so I taught other kids on these instruments. And I remember I got 5 Deutschmarks per hour teaching them. So I had good money. I was never short. My sister was always short on money. And we got this pocket cash, I don't know, a couple of marks on a monthly basis or weekly basis. I can't remember. And I remember discussions my dad has with my sister for increase. And when he accepted like an increase of a Deutschmark or 2 Deutschmarks, well, our benefit was, my brother and mine, that we got it as well.
Hello, Barbara. Thanks to you.
Yeah, well done.
It's quite interesting because now her daughter is also participating in the course. So it's amazing to share with the financial history.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the interesting thing is that I remember my first investment.
Maybe
just to add to the experience that even if I got first time in touch with investing money, my dad was not really interested. But he was always supporting our weird ideas. I mean, we had no musician in our family. But all of a sudden, when I turned like 7 or 8, I said, I want to start learning guitar. All my dad said to my mom, go with him to your sister Irma, she had a shop, and buy him a guitar. She had a sports shop. So I got my first guitar. And so I came, I don't know how old I was, but probably around 13, 14, sitting at the bank and reading the paper while waiting for my stuff. And I saw a fixed income security of this local bank issued 5 years, 12% interest. And I thought, this is a good investment. And for my communion, I remember I had like 2,000 or 3,000 Deutschmarks. And so I went home and said, Dad, what do you think? I want to invest in this thing. He said, what is this? What do you want to do? So he was a bit skeptical. Yeah, let me think about it. So I gave him, and obviously he spoke to the banker of the bank next day and said, what is that stuff about? And is this serious? And so in the evening he said, yeah, it's okay, do that.
Interesting. So I'm trying to put also some parallels here, right? And like trying to understand your history with your parents, us with you. So what I hear is things like hardworking, literally day and night.
Yeah.
Because I also always wonder why the heck I cannot stop working, right? Like I'm always working, cannot relax. Because you see it also, like mom, she never rested, like never. You were hardworking to allow us the life, and obviously you took it then maybe as an example from your parents. So I try to think about these like intergenerational patterns that we have. Then on the other hand, I see it's spoken about money in the sense also like retirement planning, inheritance, intergenerational wealth planning. This we definitely took over, or you took over from your parents. We took on with you now.
Yeah.
I see, because I wonder also which, let's say, money beliefs or principles, values, you were trying to install in us. You said maybe, fairness is definitely something, transparency, support. And now I hear your dad supporting your ideas. That's exactly how I see you also.
Yeah. I mean, the key principles are really discipline and fairness and respecting others. And last but not least, I remember my wife telling you very often, because she was at home, but we share this principle. Do what you want, buy what you want, because you like it. Not others say, this is the brand, the label you need to have. Yeah, so make yourself independent. Always, go for your own preferences.
And don't follow like social pressures and social
hypes,
standards.
Medias. I mean, social media wasn't a topic at this time, but
brands.
Yeah, brands, sure.
Spending money, etc.
If you want to, have this trouser, I want you to buy it because you like it, not because 5 other girlfriends of you have the same trouser.
Which is not hard, not easy, right? If you're a teenager or a young woman, and because I remember like the first time I then went out in like Frankfurt, big city, so then I saw these people with brands. I think we were in the countryside a bit more behütet, like protected and shielded away from it. And then Frankfurt, okay, then I moved to Zurich earning money, lived a bit abroad. Like you see brands, you see people dressing in really nice jewelry, things. Like here at Paradeplatz in Zurich, I mean, there's so much wealth. And then you play the game. And oh my God, like recently we also prepared some social media content and we went to the wardrobe, and how many, probably hundreds of thousands, it's hard even to say, like I wasted on things. It's crazy.
Yeah. The other thing, I totally agree. You work hard. You work too hard. My dad, my mom never had to stop us. I mean, we were working hard, my sister, my brother, myself, but they let us go. We did not have that control. We, and you remember talks we had the last 10 years, very often say to you, don't forget about your private life. The machine cannot go permanently for 130%. At some stage you have to bring it down to 80%. And that's, by the way, exactly the same. I very often talk the same way to my people in the team at business. I mean, we need to be ready for a certain job to complete it, but then you need to have a time where everybody has a chance to reduce a little bit, recover, and then you can tackle the next challenge.
Yeah, or your body tells you, like it happened to me as well.
Exactly.
Then it's too late.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit, guide us through how, when you were a young, well, I want to say man, but with 14, 15, you were almost a boy and you already invested. Like, how did you set goals in your life as a young man, and then maybe later on to become a family? Yeah,
and I am myself thinking a lot about that. Did I really have a plan? And what the outcome is really, I did not have a plan. Actually, you cannot have a plan because you don't know during your life. At the crossings, you go left, right. There are so many options. There is a lot of, accidental decisions as well with it. But what I had, I mean, going quickly back to that first investment, I did this on purpose with 13, 14, because I said with 18 I want to buy my first car with that money.
Wow.
Which I did.
That's a clear goal.
And this was the first investment of my dad in securities, because as this security ran another year, he bought it from me. Anyway, so when I thought about what I should do, when I received finished school with A levels, I had no clue what to do. But what I wanted to achieve is a certain independence and content and relief that I am safe and my family is safe when I turn into being a pensioner. That's what I already, this fear or these worries I always had in the back of my mind, and I know a lot of young people have that in the back of their mind.
But I wonder why, because you grew up actually quite groomed, and also wouldn't it have been the most easy way to just take over, I'm not saying, but just take over the company of your dad? Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, maybe first to the drivers, I can't say.
So there were no, well, actually it is quite specific goals that you had. Okay, buy the first car with 18. Study, you told me you knew you would study and not take over the company, which is interesting. Why? And you knew you wanted no money problems.
That's right. Yeah, actually I worked during school holidays. I worked a couple of times in my dad's company. And I mean, this was over like 4 or 5 years. I realized it's 4 or 5 people in that company. It's a small company. I wasn't interested on this business. Actually, I did not know what exactly, but I wanted to be more in like bigger companies, international business, traveling around, because my parents, even vacation we did in Germany to the Alps or the Baltic Sea or North Sea. So very, very regional. I wanted something different. Maybe the other thing about this worries, somebody told me years ago, this is not that fear you had or these worries, you wanted to compete with your dad. And I'm not sure if that is true or not, but I mean, my dad always, made sure that there was enough money for the family. And even later, we inherited money from our parents. So maybe this is kind of a competition I took, but which was definitely not initiated by my dad. Yeah, might be. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just what I said about the plan. I remember that my dad sent me to one of my cousins when I turned 18 and finished school because I wanted to go to university, but I had no clue about what doing there and what to study.
You don't know when you're 17, 18. I admire these young people who know exactly what they want. I had no.
Yeah.
I just followed actually your footsteps.
Yeah, because you were close to it, you were used to it. It was a topic here and
But
then.
you didn't have a, yeah.
I did probably not actively support you on that. Well, maybe...
No, I mean, I'm just saying, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm saying like, you didn't follow the footsteps of your dad, so you didn't have an exact way to walk.
No, definitely not. But I think maybe you and also your brothers were influenced because you came here and then and asked for practicum. What is it?
Internships.
For internships, which it was an easy job for me to organize. But this was always in a bank. So I guess this was also an influence.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I was thinking about that plan. My cousin said, look, Stefan, you go to Frankfurt University and you study computer science. It wasn't even IT at this time, information technology. It was computer science. So big, huge, room-filling computers, which you could not touch at all, no terminals. So we started, as you said, with the punch cards. But he said, you can make a lot of money with this job because it's brand new. So I said, that's exactly the right thing for me. And I did that. And just a little story about my target. I always had a target. I had no plan. But my target was to have, when I'm turning old, to have 1 million Deutschmarks available because I calculated with a 6% interest on this investment of 1 million.
You calculated that?
I calculated
15,
that.
16.
Yeah, I take out 5,000 Deutschmarks a month and I thought 5,000 Deutschmarks a month, that's good enough.
Wow, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the other thing. I think that's a realistic calculation.
No, but what I'm saying, to even sit there, have these thoughts as a teenager, and then say, oh, 1 million, how do I calculate? Like, wow.
Yeah. And nobody teach me on that. It was, okay, this interest calculation principles, the mathematical models we learned in school. It was voluntary course in the secondary school, kaufmännisches Rechnen. But still, I mean, you need to vote for it, to select it, and then you still need to apply it into practice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he actually had, I think, very clear goals. It's quite interesting because when I asked Mom on her goals, she also said it was very clear from the beginning. It's usually always like, we want it better than.
Yeah.
And I think, probably we, soaked that up from you guys.
Yeah, might be by example, by role model.
Exactly.
There was no other chance than taking over our principles. But interesting enough, I mean, these investment principles, in opposite to my dad, who did not give me any kind of advice on investing, we tried very early to give you some advice, not by saying you need to invest, but what we said is we make it somehow attractive. We gave you some money and a depot, an account, and said, you do something with it.
Even earlier. Sorry to interrupt you, but you brought me on this idea. Yeah, even earlier, you said, "Hey, I don't know. You tell me, but like, how did you give us certain tasks to receive certain pocket money?" Mm-hmm. So you sat down probably together and discussed this.
Right.
How you can teach us that money comes with certain discipline, or
at work. That the work is compensated. I mean, that's the principle. Compensation.
So Mom said, tell me how you discussed it, but Mom said like I had to do like the kitchen or something, or prepare the tables.
Right.
And then Yannick had to, I think, clean the streets, and
clean street and garage and cut the grass was with Niklas.
Yeah.
I guess you don't like that split because you had to deal with the kitchen, which is...
Looking back, very gender stereotypical, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry for that. But this was the times then. So yeah, I mean, just looking back, and it was interesting to look a little bit back into my own journey in preparation of our talks, because as I said, it's not a clear plan, so I could not even talk immediately about what is the plan, how did it. I had to remember, because a lot of steps were really unplanned, accidental, and that's, I think, the advice I can give to the young people. You need to have a target, that's good, but you don't need to have a plan. But you need to be flexible, and if there are options out there, take it. But at the same time, maybe to add to that, you need to prioritize. You cannot do everything at once.
I want to do that.
Right, right. And it has to be like a consistent way, but you can, go left and right whenever necessary, initiated by yourself. I changed job 25 years ago because I felt here's the end. I cannot do any more on this job and looked for a new one. But in 2 or 3 other instances, I was approached, thinking about it, and said, okay, let's do it.
It's also a bit like in entrepreneurship. They say take decisions and then make them right, because you lose otherwise too much time to not grab the opportunity.
Right.
And we will make it right. Yeah. I mean, in private and in business.
Yeah, and if you think a little bit about it, and if the one who do the offer to you are feel responsible enough to ask not for something which is unrealistic, my recommendation is think about it 1 or 2 nights and then you do it, because the risk of really failing or catastrophe is very, very small, if not zero.
Oh my God, and I just had an aha moment because you phrased it like that. Because now we're talking also about gender stereotypes, right? How is society pushing men and women in certain directions? And in the end, it's often that women would say no, because they don't fulfill 100% maybe of all requirements, and they don't think that they can do an amazing job or a great job. Plus, also when they are hired, or in general how we are perceived, is we are evaluated based on what we already have achieved. But for men, we are evaluated based on their potential. Men are evaluated based on their potential. And they would also go for the opportunity, maybe if they fulfill 60-70% of requirements. And I guess I'm always looking for why. Maybe it's confidence.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And you made sure... Because people then ask me, but you're not a good example for that. And I'm like, yeah, maybe because you both raised me so confident. And when I look at all the women from my course, they are having amazing careers, right? Maybe it's confidence because they dared to take these opportunities that they received and say yes.
Yeah. And maybe to that topic, according to the objective, the target, my target, I remember talks we had with you and with your brothers. They also have a decent target, and they are so much worried and uncertain about achieving this target. The advice I can give to you and a lot of other young people thinking in that way, typically my experience is you overachieve. Because you are so much caring that you need to do this saving and this investment and that and that at the end, when you turn 60, you will find out, oh, it's much more than I expected. Because the other thing is with the investment markets, if you have a decent basis, the rest, if you do not use too much of it, but have a decent life, the money is developing and getting more automatically with the markets.
Let's try. I really want to discuss with you the whole investment topic. I want to ask you also some, let's say, more emotional questions. How did you became a father then?
Right.
how did you feel about this, let's say, pressure? You were the sole provider.
Yeah.
So you have 3 kids. I have 2 brothers. We had not a life in luxury with like brands, blah, blah, but we were always good, always well. You always say, a problem is not a problem if it cannot be solved with money. And I think this is also how, we never really worried.
Yeah.
How did you feel about, being that provider and enabling us to live that life?
Yeah, I was worried, very much worried, for several years. That is this driver and this stress you carry for, 20, 30 years.
Wow.
Everybody. But on the other side, the basis, the setup you have, this helps you to cover and to build on that. With my wife, I mean, we lived for a couple of years together without kids, finding out about hobbies and that we arrange and organize our life in a certain way. And at the end, it was very clear that we had a split, that my wife will take care, that we want to have kids. We said 3 kids. And that my wife will take care of home and kids. And she said, and you take care that if I go to the cash machine, I get always money out.
Wow.
Which was a fair split. It gave me the freedom to spend a lot of time in my job. I did a lot of traveling. And one of my advantages, the pros I offered to my employers was that if they asked me, can you be tomorrow 10 o'clock there? I was next day 10 o'clock there. I had this flexibility. So here's a very good example, talking to people, hand workers.
Handyman.
Right, electricians or,
Handyman.
plumbers. They always come with 2 people. And I asked one of the guys, like 40 years ago, why I asked you to repair this. Why do you send 2 people? I only want to pay 1. And he said, look, 1 + 1 in our business is 3. And I say, what do you mean? And that's right, it's the same in the partnership. If you have 1 and the second, and they help each other out, it's not only giving hand, but you can do a premium because you have the capacity. Yeah? If you know that in my case, your wife takes care 100% of home and all of that, and she is not getting angry if I have to extend a stay in somewhere abroad for another 2 days to finish the project. It gives me a lot of freedom, and this gives me also a lot of acceptance and at the end compensation with my employers.
Wow, but that's really big that you summarize it like that and that you acknowledge it also.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that I could 150% rely on my wife on that. So
I really like that you appreciate so much that you had the role split and that this actually enabled you to have a career. Because what Mom said is she basically, let's say, put herself completely in the back for, let's say, maybe 20 years. And then you took this like pressure on to be the provider. And so you both kind of like, did your jobs to contribute to the life that you both decided to have.
Exactly. But the point there is, I remember a lot of conversations we had where you said, the children get biased and Mom had to take this role because this was tradition and she was into that. I disagree. I think it has to be a fair decision between partners to have the choice, and you have that today, that they have a split like that, or that both work and have a reduced work and split the work to take care on the kids as well. And I think nowadays, at least in the Western Hemisphere, young people have that option, which is a very good development.
It's amazing to have options. I think The problem is that now we have so many options, and there are some, let's say, structural problems. Like, for example, even though you had that split, for example, I asked, maybe I can ask you the same about your parents, but I asked also Mom about her parents. And she saw, for example, her dad having some hobbies, some time for himself to do Kegeln, like bowling. And then I asked her, did you see your mom resting? And she said, no, definitely not.
Right.
And the same with our mom. Like, she worked 24/7, and society evaluates that job apparently with 0. You made an amazing modern agreement back then to pay out a salary. So she had her own salary, and she didn't ask for money. So this I find incredible in my community too. And then you had also times where you went for a walk, or you did tennis or any other like hobbies. And I think, or we know that the mental load often is still carried, even though women sometimes work, right? Still a lot by men. So this is a bit a disbalance.
But you have to be realistic, and you have to prioritize. I agree to what you said, and comparing it to my parents, I can't remember them having going out for hobbies.
Both not.
Both not. Simply no time. But what they did, when they turned like mid-50s, they start to play tennis. And this was the same with us. I remember that I played football and that we loved to the horse riding, and my wife brought me to the horse riding. But when we started to build a family, it was clear that there was no space, no time for hobbies. Not for my wife, but the same. I stopped playing for 15 years, 20 years. I did not play football, and we stopped horse riding. The only exception was because when my parents turned 80, I turned 50, mid-50s, and my father retired, he fell into a deep hole. And so we suggested, hey, Mom and Dad, why don't you start to learn tennis? And my wife, your mom, said, I go with you, that I can control that you really play the tennis. And so when they had the training here, and then I came there, and this is when we played together tennis. But on our side, we stopped this activity again when we built the family. And only, I remember with like when I was 45, when I had a chance to, when we played with the football team, and Yannick and Niklas were old enough, they were like 10, 12. I took them with me to the matches and to the trainings. When it was time to take them with you, this is when you could start your activity again. And I mean, it was the same with the horse riding. Your mom was able to start horse riding only when you were like in a decent age, with, what was it, 12, 13? When we start thinking about how can we initiate our hobbies again and start again to practice. I think performing in a successful job and building up a family takes so much focus that you have to step back with your hobbies for some time to focus and prioritize this. And at some stage, it gives you, the buffer you build during that time gives you the option then to do a lot of things together, going together to ski holidays, doing the horse riding together, playing the tennis, and so on and so on.
Guide us a bit through your investing journey, because you said you felt worried. You felt the pressure of being the sole provider for a family. How did you deal with that? And tell us a bit the story of, real estate investments from your dad, you working there on the construction side, later then to selling all the real estate that you inherited from your dad. How did you try to handle the pressure or the safety, the financial safety of your family?
I mean, my first investments were following the guidelines of my dad, because I learned it. So I said, why not doing the same? We built our first house. I bought an apartment house. I did not build it my own, but it was a very attractive offer. And so we bought this apartment house. But then in the 90s, the regulation took away all subsidy and benefits from state side. And on the legal side, you lost more and more control over your investment and your apartments. I mean, nowadays, you know, in the Western countries, it's the same in Italy, Spain, France, Germany. People can live in your apartment, can destroy it. They can live there for years without paying rent, and you can't do anything about it. So this is why I realized it's only hassle. It's not attractive. You lose control over your investments, and so it took me. I did not do it in one step, but it took me like 10, 15 years from the mid-90s until 2010 to sell all apartments and houses.
And I remember these stories that you told me that even after work you had to go and check on an apartment because one of the tenants complained about something, and like you had so many situations where you know, because people always think, oh, I buy, you know, one flat, one house, and then I'm set up for my pension, and they find it tangible. I get it, right? You can touch it, see it, but there's so much that comes with it. And I'm not saying don't do it, right? Because I'm also invested in real estate, but then there's here and there the phone call of this is broken, it needs repair, and then you need to organize someone like.
Yeah, well, you mentioned your investment in real estate. This is a different thing. You outsourced all this work with the downside that your interest is very low. Yeah. But your real estate investment is based on market price development, which is fair. During our investment time, we were all focusing on the interest payments, the rent. Yeah. If this rent doesn't come, then your investment is worthless.
Interesting,
yeah. But what came with it more and more is challenges, what you said, calls in the evenings. I mean, if there is a call that something is to repair, that is fine. Next day you call a hand worker to come and repair it. But it turned out more and more that individuals in the houses had trouble with it, and they called you for like psychological support.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you work hard, you cannot have these calls in the evenings. So this is where I said, look, buying a stock means you get a dividend, you have a market price development, but they never call you. So get rid of all of that crap.
And then how did you get into liquid investments like stocks, bonds?
Right, yeah, very interesting. Again, without any plan. Yeah. When my first fixed income investment was sold to my dad, who was 18, I did not invest at all. As I said, the first time I spent the money on real estate. But then by accident, I was hired by Deutsche Asset Management. And actually, the computer science changed into information technology, and my job was to introduce information technology, office automation into one or two companies. And the second company, Deutsche Bank, when they founded Deutsche Asset Management, I did obviously a successful job for 1 year. Office automation introduced to the bank. They said, maybe this guy is also competent enough to build the basis for our investment management business. To be honest, I had no clue about that. But I said, let's do it.
You see again, you had the confidence, you could somehow do it.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't fulfill, you know, the requirements, knowing about everything.
Yeah. I mean, how did I come to the investment management business? Again, by accident.
Stop. Chris, you were like this. Go a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, now it's okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. How did I come to?
Ask the question again.
No. The first part is great with the real estate, yeah. But then.
How did I come to the investment management business? Again, without a plan. By accident, joining a company, investment management company. And we started with 5 people and grew within 3-4 years to like 30-40 people, and understanding more and more the principle of how these portfolio managers invest. They have material, they use analysts, and then based on that they do their decision. I started to read this material, and especially one publication every week, and then after a couple of months understanding better and better that this is proposals, and you make with your own feeling
Yeah.
what is the best one, and then you start investing. And I remember, because with you and your brothers, when you started to invest, you start to invest 1,000 euros here, or then you do a big investment on this stock for 2,500. And I started actually exactly the same. I mean, nowadays I would not go for 2,000 euro investments. But yeah, it's exactly a mirror of how I started in the mid-90s.
It's so interesting because people think there is someone in the bank that knows the golden way. And then, for example, the woman working with me, they realize after 6 months it's actually only about learning the basics, but mainly also getting to understand them. That's where I want to help them, because you can learn what an equity is, what an ETF is, but that doesn't help you much actually.
Yeah.
So it's more about finding the matching between you, your values, your goals.
Right.
And then understanding, okay, this is the risk profiles, and then which investments do you want to make? And even if you don't take all the decisions yourself.
Right. And you, not everybody needs to read a publication every week or daily and turn into a business where he's investing in individual stocks or fixed income securities. There are, I mean, here and then I speak about these 3 classes I see, you know, the one investment, the group of people, they don't do anything. They are the losers. They lose every month, they lose money.
Because of inflation.
Because of inflation. The second is the one who are the intermediates, or also the beginners, who don't have the time or interest to spend like an hour or 2 a day into reading these booklets, but they read a newspaper. They read you know, the Financial Times, or they read.
They're just up to date to normal life.
They are up to date, and based on that, they can decide into markets. And if they put some money away, they can buy an ETF, which is
exchange traded fund.
Exactly, like you know, who follow indices with the certain markets, and they do their choice there, and then they can start investing. I mean, the third group, the nerds, which I see myself part of it, even these guys, they spend decent time, but they don't do the calculation. Even myself, I'm relying on analyst information, and then I have like 10 suggestions, and I say, look, I follow these for a couple of weeks or sometimes months. And then all of a sudden, one of those is dropping, and I say, oh, that's the right moment, and now I buy this. By the way, the other experience I made in my last 30 years, buying stocks is very easy. Selling it is much more difficult, because you never, on the buy side, you will never reach the lowest moment. And on the sell side, you will not sell at the top.
No.
And it's so painful selling this stock and seeing that it's developing, like another 20% or 50%.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to live with.
And that's exactly human emotions. And so the middle ones, I think you get probably with a min-max principle, like the minimum amount of effort, the maximum out of it, versus then the nerds, then you really have to spend not only a lot of time, but also know certain concepts on how to handle these emotions. Yeah? And that's why I also see in reality most people are not, and it's also not necessarily. Yeah. So this is your process. So you get the information, you evaluate, but also with your gut. I like that you not only include the brain. Was there a recent investment fail that you can share with us?
Well, you have always stocks not developing in the way you are hoping they should develop. So and also this analyst is very often he's writing, if you have 10 stocks and a couple of those develop on average like 5%, 10%, but like 2 or 3 double or even more, what's the problem then losing 2 stocks? Because they go bust or bankrupt, or the value drops very much. And I mean, I can't remember all the names, but clearly I have a lot of stocks which lost value and which I sold with a loss. one of the most recent
Or
losses or famous or most painful losses is Wirecard, because one of my principles is never ever buy something which is in social media hyped or in press.
You always tell me when everyone talks about it, it's time to get out of it.
Or not touch it.
Even get into it.
Yeah. And with Wirecard, I waited for 1 year, but then, for this long time, and then they joined the index DAX. I thought, this is obviously something serious. Let's buy it. And then they went bankrupt, and this was a big loss. And it was painful to me because I did not follow my own principles.
Yeah. It's good. It reminded you, it taught you again to listen to your principles.
And that's a good thing.
Yes.
You can lose money, no problem. Stand up and do the next investment.
Yeah.
It's not a catastrophe.
That's good. Would you say you've reached your financial goals, and was it worth the sacrifice of having maybe, instant gratification of, buying nice things or just spending more money earlier versus having the long-term benefits?
Well, yes, I reached my target. I reached actually 3 things. The one is, I remember like 15 years ago, 50s, when I had this certain basis, I knew whatever happens, you can live from your portfolio. My work turned into hobby. I was always very disciplined and committed. But now everything went on very easy.
Wow.
It was no pressure. The pressure was gone. I felt very happy. The colleagues in the company, they always said, Stefan's always happy. And this is true because I felt this way. So I worked with people together, very hard on projects, but it was not an existential fight you do every day. So this freedom I had, it's the one thing. The other thing is, not only I achieved this goal, but as I said, most likely if you start early and you take care, you overachieve, which allowed us to think about, a certain limit we want to have. We don't need to sit on millions. Why? Because inheritance fee we want to avoid. There's a lot of regulations about it. So what we agreed, your mom and myself, we said, let's distribute to the kids as early as possible, much earlier than we received some subsidy from our parents, which we did, but only very late. And this pressure young people have can be taken away with that subsidy maybe 10 years earlier. So you, instead of me being, relaxed with 50, you can be hopefully relaxed like with 40, because you have a certain basis based on money which we have overachieved and we can distribute. And best, whenever we run over certain limits, we start simply distributing the money to you and to your brothers.
And you tax optimize.
Exactly. Plus, it's very and so interesting to see how you behave with that money and how you 3 behave totally different in investing that money, because I never gave you rules. I just said do something, but I never told you what. And Niklas about his derivatives, and is more like the gambler and wants to have the quick money. Yannick, very solid and with a certain mix of, and is developing also, going back from individual stocks now more and more to ETFs.
Because he has a family now.
Exactly, family, less time, so he starts to have to work into a split like 60-40 or 80-20 or whatever. And you with clearly your focus on ETFs, because you have no time, you have your own company where you invest a lot of money, but also with investing in, you simply don't have time to invest in individual securities. other than delegating it to your dad with some small portions.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting.
And that's why
to
I
see
love
that.
also, that's what I want to show. And I'm trying to be very transparent on my portfolio as well, right? You don't have to do everything yourself. I have the portfolio management bucket. I always call it buckets. Then the bucket I manage myself. And we have the family office chat with ETFs and direct investments, the real estate, another brokerage account where alone, like, 3,500 every month are invested to, because I think I find it very interesting how you said this rule of having as early on as possible this, how do you say, basis?
Yeah.
That the money can start earning money.
Capital basis.
Capital
yeah.
basis. So
Yeah.
how would you suggest young people to get there?
Well, if they do not have the option to inherit, I mean, that's the other question you might have is inheriting money, how to start and when to start. Because that's also an interesting thing. My dad started at some stage to talk to me and say, we need to do something. I want also to avoid this inheritance tax, so we need to start to hand over control and to hand over capital. I would never have started this conversation because I don't want to take away anything from my dad. So it's always, everybody has to take care of who is a parent, that it's his duty to think about early enough and to start about thinking and talking to the kids how to do it and when to do it. Because how does it look if a kid comes to his dad and says, can you give me money?
But that's the reality that I see. First of all, in the bank, I saw so many families that don't talk with each other anymore. Why? Because something happens. It's usually the older generation, sudden death. They didn't even know that the money was there, right? And then someone feels disadvantaged and whatever, they don't talk with each other anymore.
Yeah.
So sad. And then I see now all my clients, like the women, they are opening their eyes. They are saying, first of all, for themselves, but also for their kids. They want to learn how to navigate the finances. For me, it's not only learning about, this certain kind of investment, but navigating their finances. And we start discussing talking money with their hobby, for the kids, then suddenly the parents. I mean, most of my clients' parents are now in their 70s, maybe even older. They get sicknesses. These parents usually did not invest or have a financial strategy.
Right.
How would you say then they should start the discussion and when?
Yeah. Well, if they have to inherit something, they should start at least when they turn 50. 50, 55, they should start thinking and have the discussion. But going back to your question, what about those who cannot expect any money from their parents?
Or even on contrary, my mom told me that you even had to pay for the grandma, right?
Yeah.
For the care.
I mean, this was not big amounts, but yeah. So, here my recommendation is really start building a buffer as early as possible. And it starts with a buffer only for consumer goods. My dad told me always, if you have a family, make sure you have like $5,000 available on the bank account, because if the car breaks or if the laundry or whatever, if you have trouble, you have to repair it or you have to buy a new machine, you need to have money, because he said, avoid consumer loans. If you buy something based on that, you pay a double. You pay the price, you don't get a discount, and you pay the interest on it. And all these companies organizing that, they want to make their own money. Yeah. So if you have that buffer, at some stage, you have some money left over. If it's only like 50 euros a month, you can start building and buying ETFs. You don't need to work with it. It will come automatically. The costs is a very key factor. Don't go into funds, which take away like a decent percentage amount every year of your benefits, but invest in ETFs at a very small costs. And based on that, it definitely takes you like 10 or 15 years, but then you see your basis growing and growing. And I mean, you can do the math and the calculation how it develops based on a certain interest income.
So basically get into it as early as possible. And then it's not, because I feel like one limiting belief is always that they think that many people think you need a lot of money to invest, because probably only wealthier people talk about it or are associated with it. I don't know. But now with modern technology and online banks, neon brokers, etc., we have access to invest literally with 15 or $5, euro, Swiss francs, which is incredible. So you have no excuse. I mean, we started now to invest, or I started to invest now for Elisa, my niece, who was born in January. And obviously it will not be big amounts. So it will accumulate.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
over
the
a
way
long
to do
time
it.
Period.
And key factor is really try to avoid costs. Don't go to your local bank. They sell you stuff which is probably very expensive. It takes away a lot of your interest income. And the other thing is, be very, very careful. I just learned a story last weekend when somebody told me they invested money based on a good friend's advice and lost a lot of money. So you need to find somebody you can trust, but is not working for his own benefits.
But also, even if you outsource the decision making, you need to understand, you need to make up your own mind. You need to understand why, how it works, etc. And with the banks and fees, look, I think I'm not, maybe I will develop into it, but not yet a promoter of, only do it a certain way. I see in reality a lot of people, women, that will not manage their own wealth. They just will not, even if it's just opening an online broker. And I think banks have their legitimization, like they have their reason, but you can also negotiate with them. And then, of course, only with certain amounts of wealth, you would have also certain negotiation power. But there are there are many possibilities out there how you can ensure that your wealth is managed even by someone, and it's not super unfair prices.
Yeah, but I also think it's not only like a gender gap or females have this, we say, don't think they can do it. It's everybody. I mean, in a lot of my friends, I think it's part a little bit of the culture that let your money work for you is not real work. They want to see work changing, building something. And they are simply not, they are not stupid, but they are simply not interested on taking a little bit time.
Ownership, yes.
And ownership to start building ETFs or whatever.
Or learning about it, getting into the conversation, being making it part of their...
Right.
Like with any other topic. Like if I would say, let's take up, I want to start building muscles. You invest a lot of work continuously to get into it. Health, longevity. If I want to do Pilates, if I want to learn another language, it's in the end always the same. But there's no like ownership of, I want to be prepared for my financial future, or there is, but just in some cases. And that's why we are creating the space and this community, right, to talk about it. Because it's not, why do you think people don't talk about money and wealth?
Well, that's one thing, talking about it, but the key thing is really start to motivate. For me, independent to gender. Everybody should be ready to spend some very small part of his time to get used to do these investments.
100%, No, of course, everyone. It's just because we have massive gaps. I try to, and push and play a part role to like maybe close this gap a bit, but it's very hard.
And it needs discipline, because as I said, the people are intelligent enough to learn it and to get used to it, but they are not interested. So you need, like, who likes to go to the gym three times a week? You need discipline. And the same is with this. You need this discipline to start reading into it and then to start investing. But as I said, this group of investors, they have only like a very small portion of time needed to do this investment. We talk a couple of hours to start with, and then to follow a little bit means like you invest another hour per month, but not a daily investment.
No, I know. For example, there's a study that says women are, I just know the numbers of women better. Probably many men spend hours on social media as well. But we spend 6 to 8 hours on social media per week. Probably it's way more. My clients spend 1 to 2 hours per month on their finances. Because yes, there's an initial effort, but then you can integrate it, make it part of your life if you found a way that suits you and not getting tricked by someone.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking about a gender, remember there's this situation, and we spoke only about it in my 30s, I think, that you gave an investment portfolio to Yannick and Niklas, like to start it, but not to me. And it's not to, open the topic again, but why do you think that happened?
Yeah, I'm even not 100% sure if that's the truth, but if you tell me it is the truth, well, I guess it's simply timing. You are the oldest, and we also learned over time. As I said, I wasn't born as as Warren Buffett, so I guess simply when you were on your own already, and Yannick and Niklas were around, I remember, like 16 or 17. I think you have to be 16 before you can open a depot at all with a bank in Germany. So you were simply out of our household at this time. And so we started to put some money on a depot.
So they can try.
For both, they can try.
invest.
They bought, I know, 1 or 2 equities and start playing with it, just to make it attractive, to motivate them.
Yeah.
And I guess it wasn't the case that you were the girl, but it was just
I wonder.
you were too early.
Yeah, because for me, when you talk about ownership, taking on a topic, look, I was working in it. I was studying it.
Yeah.
I even was a part of this investment club in university. Then I worked in wealth management, managing millions for my clients.
Yeah.
Moving to Hong Kong, managing even billions. But how come I only started to invest in my 30s when I received the big pension money from Switzerland, moving out of Switzerland, of Europe? And then you're like, oh my God, this is my pension. What do I do with it? Then I started having a financial strategy. Only in my 30s.
Yeah, well, I think you started earlier. And looking from outside, it's very, as I said, it's very interesting to see the different approaches. But together with your partner at this time, you started to talk about a lot of options. And very often you also included me in these discussions. What do you think about that? And remember, you bought this apartment in Berlin. You bought this apartment in Frankfurt. So you invested in real estate. When I said, I sold all my real estate, but I said, okay, they know what they do.
Make your own mistakes.
Not only your own mistakes.
Yes.
Obviously, you did your homework, and as I said, real estate is based on market value development. And you said to me at this time, it will double price. So I said, okay, that's attractive. Just wait the time until that price is achieved. And so you did even more. You had some pension depots with being managed by a bank here in Switzerland.
But this only started when I was in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why, I don't know, I think I can relate a bit. You live your life, you spend your money, you work hard, so you earn well. And this is also how her financial freedom grew, right? Because in Hong Kong, I had all these expat friends. So we had some money after a while. It's not millions, but
Yeah.
And then you ask the questions, or you get asked, you're in banking. Now I have a bit of money. What do I do with it? And I hosted all these aperos afterwards with women, and they kept asking and pushing, can you not transfer this knowledge? And then that's how it all started.
Yeah. But you are, starting with it around the 30s or mid-30s is not too late. Remember myself, I was 35 to 40, starting based on this information I received from that investment management company. And comparing it to your brothers, they didn't do anything during university time and during their first job. So they also start to develop themselves for a couple of years. And I think only the last, 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years, they started on their own to make use of their knowledge and start to invest. And I think that's pretty early. All of you were 5 years before me.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't have that so on the radar. What should I tell my clients who are 50s, 60s if they ask me, Cristina, is it too late?
It's never too late. It's never too late. And I have here and then I have these discussions with friends of mine, you know, in the hobbies. They know that I invest and they talk to me. The problem is most of these guys have some money, families. I know, like, you know, 50,000, 70,000 a year, but then they spend it in solar energy or in an electric car, which is not invested, it's consumer. Yeah. When I tell them, why don't you invest it and wait another couple of years and from the interest you buy the car? No, I'm not interested in that. I will lose all my money. The fear losing money stops them all about thinking of investing money.
That's true. And we also perceive less reward in gaining some interest and then more pain from losing.
Yeah.
Like have negative returns,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. That's quite interesting. What is one principle that you would give me and my community to live by?
With regard to investment?
Life, finances, maybe. It doesn't need to be related to finances.
Well, I think the principles we live as role models and educated you, and we spoke about that already, being honest and being self-confident, respecting others, being disciplined. I mean, this is key, not only for your life, it's also key for your career. I mean, I hired a lot of people, and it took me not more than 10 minutes to decide this is the one we take or not, just because of the discipline and the engagement I saw within this time. And that's, do what you have fun with. Nowadays, the young people have the chance to deselect, because think about, you will do that 40 years or maybe longer. So do something which you enjoy very much to do, and very clear you will have phases where you don't enjoy it. It's still the right thing, but they are, you know,
that's interesting.
There are ups and downs. It's Niklas has these ups and downs in his job, you know, but he's managing it. He's patient. You need some patience. Young people always, after a couple of months, want to be promoted. I said, why don't you work for 3 years and then we start talking about your promotion?
But that's really interesting. Also, if you don't feel, you know, very good, maybe one day, etc., you're questioning your life choices immediately.
Yeah, and I mean, these characters is the same with investing.
Yeah.
Buying a stock which has dropped recently for bad numbers, 20-30%, I immediately buy, and then I don't look into it for the next 3 years. If it's
hold
a good,
on to it.
Yeah, if it's a, I mean, this is the typical buy and hold philosophy.
Yeah.
If it's a good business, a solid business, I'm not worried about it, and I let it go for a couple of years.
What do you think makes families' wealth more stable across over generations? What do you think is the secret to maintain wealth over generations?
Yeah, the secret, and I see all the prominent families doing that, you need to start talking about handing over, control, and the basis, the investment basis, as early as possible. As I said, 50s, not when you turn 70. That's too late. So that you not only have a cold handover, like, oh, I'm ill, I'm sick, I can't do anything, you have to start tomorrow taking care of this one, but that you have a handover phase. I remember my dad handing over when he was like 55, and he said, yeah, can you take care of this and this? But I want to know everything what you do. And this worked on for a couple of years. And then later on, I lost him more and more because he was simply not interested. But he wanted to live off how I manage the money and of the return on investment, which worked fine. And so my advice really is to families, talk about this very early, and it gives you a guarantee that you keep the value, that you do not lose money by, big tax payments. Yeah. it helps your kids to be a little bit more relaxed as early as possible. Relaxed does not mean not work. They still need to work hard and they will still be very disciplined, have to be. But it makes them easier to get into that.
Well, thanks for that advice. Is
You're
there
welcome.
anything that you wanted to say to me about money that you never said?
That I never said. Well, I said so much about money, and I mean, really, when we talk about money or give you any advice, it's at the end, it's to help you. Yeah, and and you know that we want you to develop how you want it, to enjoy your life. You will, I mean, you are definitely working too hard. You have to continue working hard, but maybe a little bit less. And you can take risks, enjoy your life as well to all your work. And you know, you can take risks because there's always a network which is helping you out. As I said, it's the real problems are not the ones who can cover and resolve with money.
With money, yeah. That's actually that's priceless, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I know that these conversations are not so easy, but I think you enjoy them a lot, talking about money. For the majority of people, maybe it's not so easy.
It's my hobby.
Yeah, your hobby, your passion.
Yeah,
but I'm
my
really,
passion.
truly
Absolutely.
grateful that we can have them. And I think you quietly carried so much responsibility to enable us to dream big. I think more daughters need to also see these kind of role models and that we can have those conversations with our dads, that we can maybe also take the lead in it. So, yeah.
As you see, I enjoy talking about it. As you said, it's my passion. So open to whatever plans you have to motivate other young people, in your case, probably females, to think about it and to help them with the first steps, because it's not a big challenge. It's just doing the first step and then the second and the third.
Yes, and I'm here to accompany them. But I want to really say thank you because you and Mom, you've built the foundation that I can even do that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me give you a hug. Danke dir vielmals.